Bible gives some metaphors, I think, or some personifications or some examples, caricatures of a disciple. One of the things it talks about as a disciple is a soldier. This is a warrior metaphor. Think about the soldier, the discipline, in the muck, in the mire. Think about what that image brings to mind. Laying down your life for another, the blood, the guts, the camaraderie, the laying down your, serving, stepping out outside of yourself to make sure someone else lives. That's the picture of a disciple. That image of a soldier just blows us up into 100 different ways. I'd encourage you to think about what is a soldier. The Bible also calls about a builder. It says that Jesus is building his family. He says, like a temple, he's building us up. He says that's the role of our pastors, is to equip us and train us until we all reach a level of maturity, until we are fully built up in the knowledge of the Lord. This is all building language. That if I'm a temple, we talked about this yesterday, God's living inside me, that God is laying some stones. And so the life of a disciple, think about a builder. Extremely detailed, hardworking, it's back-breaking work, the work ethic that's there. Discipleship is not an easy task. And God then goes to the athlete. Okay, think of the Greco-Roman view of an athlete. Athletes were in the Greco-Roman world for the Colosseums were trained far. When Paul says, I beat my body as if to train it as if an athlete, training for the kingdom that I might not be disqualified, that I may win the race. When he talks about that in 1 Corinthians, he's conjuring up this imagery of an athlete. And the Greco-Roman athletes were big. They had regiments physically they had to go through. Did you know they had prescribed diets of music they had to listen to? It didn't just show up in Rocky, okay? In our movies today, they had a regiment of music they had to listen to. They had a regular diet they had to adhere to. They had a physical workout they had to. They had specific days of rest they had to take off. They had to be at the Colosseum at certain days. This diet pressing itself out into mind, body, soul, and spirit was there in that athlete. And it says the discipleship process is one of fighting like a soldier, building like a builder, and working like an athlete to train our senses, our body, to train our flesh. And then he goes and takes it even further, the farmer. Think about the farmer tilling soil. Not only are you tilling dirt all day long, but you have to wait forever to see things grow. Backbreaking work, and you see very little harvest. All the work I do in my garden every year, it's backbreaking work, and I till it. I am convinced, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to be pretty bold with this. I am absolutely convinced you cannot learn the full life of a disciple if you don't touch the dirt. Jesus made Adam and Eve in the dirt. I think there's got to be a role, if any little, even growing a plant. You have to start touching dirt because it teaches you about your own nature. It is so fickle. It is so detrimental, or it is so weirded out by the strangest things. And if you don't give it the right pH balance and the right nutrition, that plant doesn't grow. And then it's subjected to all the elements. And when you finally do get this plant to grow, you're just like, let's pick it quick before it dies. And this is the life of a disciple, the farmer, this agonizing work. And then God calls us a body together. Okay? Think about all of these. I think they all conjure up an element of discipleship. But within all of these, I think you can pull them up underneath music. And we're going to use a form tonight. I'm going to try to go through a little quicker since we're behind, okay? I know everybody in the room is probably thinking, yeah, quick, right, okay? But I want us to be more thoughtful about discipleship, about following Christ personally and pastorally. And I want to equip us for real life. What is it going to be when you get out in the Christian life and you encounter it? You need a shape that's going to help you deal, right? Kevin Twitt, I've heard him in past, he didn't say it tonight, but he said, he was asked one time, what is your goal as a pastor in music? He said, my goal is to train people to go and die. I thought that was an interesting answer. Because if you saw Indelible Grace's stuff, all that stuff is to prepare the Christian for a life of laying down your life, taking up your cross. But then there's the other side of it. The Bible says, I came to give you life and life more abundantly. The thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Jesus is fascinated by life. And so there's this life of this earth where we're putting to death flesh and we're dying every day to self and we're feeling the pain and temptation of the world. And then there's the real kingdom where we're being prepared to go into life. And I want us to show up in heaven, in the kingdom, and recognize where we're at and go, my pastor, my friends, my discipler trained me to be ready. They're singing my kind of song. I'm ready. Every language is here. Yep, I know it. Every kind of style is here. Yep, artistically expressive, filled with truth. Jesus is here. He's the main thing. I'm not. Everything's about him, not about me. I want you to recognize that. I want our shape to understand that. And we talked about the fourfold order. God gathers us. God speaks to us. We respond. Then he sends us. If you think about a concert, music, it does all of these things. It gathers us in. It speaks to us in an atmosphere where we're overwhelmed and we respond. Hands raised, hands lifted, and it sends us out. It develops a culture. It's one of the reasons why Satan, who was literally, if you study in Ezekiel, he was literally made of instruments. The fallen musician of heaven, made of instruments, falls to the earth with half of his demons or a third of his demons. Don't quote me on that. I'm having a brain freeze at the moment. And now, all of a sudden, what's his largest influence going to be? Turning the tides to the power of what world language? What universal language is there but music?